Hi, I'm Phil Brock. This is Brock and Your Block. We've left Santa Monica today because we're in Arroyo Grande, California. I just found a farmer in Arroyo Grande, California, and this farmer may be familiar to many of you. Your name is?
BOYB Rutiz.
And Jerry, I didn't know about you this morning, but I found out about you because I was up in this part of California today, and multiple people texted me, emailed me, and said I have to come meet you because you are a fixture at Santa Monica's Farmers Market. You've been there since 1981.
Yes, it's been a whole generation, I would say. We have our produce stand up front here. So we sell about half of our produce that we raise through our stand, which is like a little mini farmers market. We have our own product that we raise on the farm here, and then we also bring in other growers' products who will grow under like mine. So we are pesticide-free, organically fertilized. We're not certified organic because I can bring people out here like I'm bringing you out, and I can show you, Phil, this is what we're doing. This is our fertilizer. You can see the bugs in the field. You can see the ladybugs in the field. You can see the aphids in the field. So they're all out there hanging out. So we're not doing any spraying. We only use organic fertilizer.
Well, how did you start doing this? You said you grew up in the San Fernando Valley. There's only a couple of little farm stands out there.
Well, 70s, I decided I really didn't want to live in the Los Angeles area any longer. So I came up to go to college at Cal Poly in San Luis Obispo. And I ended up getting a degree in agriculture. That seemed like a fun thing to study. And then I started farming on my own. You know, after a couple of years, 2-3 years of working for other farmers up here. Now, it's a kind of a funny story, Phil. It was about 1981 or 1982, and my mom, who is still living in Southern California, she was volunteering for this new organization called Direct Marketing, put forth by a governor back then, if you can remember, a guy named Jerry Brown.
Yes,
he was a
I've
governor.
heard of him.
He was a governor back in the early 80s. And he said, how are we going to make it so that the small farmers can still stay viable in our state? And he came up with the idea of direct marketing. Farmers markets was one of the aspects of the direct marketing. So my mom is volunteering for this new organization that's trying to get farmers market started. She calls me up one day and says, Jerry, you know, I think you might have interest in this whole farmers market deal. I'm farming and having a hard time making ends meet. And so I load up my pickup truck with what I have growing in the fields, and I go down to Santa Monica. And it took us about a half hour to sell out.
Oh, so it worked.
The first Wednesday, and next Wednesday I borrow a bigger truck. It took me 45 minutes to sell out. And from then on, I kind of figured out this is what we're going to try to do.
And I understand that the first farmers market in the state was in San Luis Obispo downtown. And Santa Monica may have been the second or third.
I think
right there.
Yeah, it was right there. You know, in the first 6 months or so, several of them popped up. The farmers markets in Santa Monica must have been about 1982 or so, and we started out there, and it was really, really good for years and years. And mostly it was just our customers that came up to us and said, hey, can you grow basil? Hey, can you grow sweet corn? Can you grow tomatoes? Can you grow cut flowers and strawberries and carrots? And all these things I wasn't doing before, and they just came up with the idea of, you know, if you could grow it, we'd buy it from you. And back in the mid to late 80s, there was a very large Persian population in West LA, Santa Monica. The women would come down to the market and they would buy a case of parsley and use it because they were cooking for their extended family.
Right.
And so we ended up being the one stop for the Persian community, you know, coming down there. And they would ask us to grow certain herbs for them. They would bring us seeds, and I would learn the names in Farsi, the names of the herbs. So that was really good. Pretty soon our customers asked us, hey, can you grow stuff without pesticides on it? And I said, I can try. So then we started growing without pesticides. Can you use organic fertilizers? And I said, okay, I'll use organic fertilizers. So we've just progressed. And about 15 years ago, the restaurants discovered the farmers market. And we probably have 30 to 35 restaurants that come to our truck every Wednesday to get a half a case of this, a case of that. And so that's a big part of our business now, is supplying the restaurants that come from the local West Los Angeles area.
So that means I eat a lot of your produce
if you
in
eat
my
it,
local restaurants.
If you eat at a lot of local restaurants, sure.
I do. I want to
gets
keep them
there.
in business. Farming came from customer ideas in Santa Monica.
Oh, most definitely.
That's fabulous.
definitely.
So you were a responsive farmer.
I just listened.
Yeah.
I'm not an innovator. I just listened. That's all.
And it's worked out for you.
Yes.
You've been there for decades now.
Yes.
That's, first of all, pretty unbelievable that you stay in business for years like that, and your customers drove the inventory. They drove what you grow, they drove what you sell. And farmers markets were not only a good direct marketing strategy for California, but they also allowed produce to be brought into urban areas that had no fresh produce, that had no connection with the farm, that had no connection with nature. And now they could walk down the street and see something that they would eat and they would appreciate. And that is really the real value of farmers markets, other than keeping you in business and helping drive your business innovations.
Oh, many of the original farmers markets in the state were set up by nonprofits to try to bring produce into areas that were food deserts, as they call it. Yeah.
And food deserts are still in parts of Los Angeles. In South LA, there are still food deserts in our communities, even in Los Angeles County. And even though we're surrounded by farms within long driving distance in your case, but we're surrounded by fresh produce. We're the breadbasket of the United States in so many ways.
Sure.
But it is still difficult for many people and communities to get fresh produce, which will keep them healthy, which will keep them alive. And you're talking about organic-like produce, where it's being grown the same as it was grown 100 years ago.
Exactly.
And that is so valuable for all of us.
Yes. Growing organically is not a new idea. I mean, that's the way agriculture was practiced up until about 60 years ago, 60 or 70 years ago. After World War II, then things started changing quite a bit. But prior to World War II, everybody was organic pretty much.
So it's interesting. Does it cause any special problems when you first started to grow without pesticides? Disturbed? Your produce didn't look as good?
I think it looked fine. We probably will leave about 10% in the fields, if it has disease or insect damage, and our yields maybe are 20 to 25% below a conventionally farmed field. It's a little bit harder.
But you're getting a higher quality product.
We're getting I think a higher quality
you're getting
product.
Things that are better for people to eat.
And we can get a little bit of a premium on price for it, mostly because it's something that a variety or its freshness is something that people value, and also knowing the farmer that's feeding your family, I think, is a value to a certain portion of the population.
So you grow with love.
Yeah.
That's important. Now, do you bring flowers to Santa Monica Farmers Market too?
Yes, we do.
You go to other farmers markets, or is this
No,
it?
Santa Monica's are the only one that we attend any longer. Back before this property here, we stopped all of the other farmers markets that we were attending, and we opened up our produce stand.
You found a zoning exclusion or something that allows you to have this marvelous farm.
I found a landowner who is very motivated to have this kind of a farm. It's the community of Halcyon, which is right adjacent. They own all this land, and they also own a residential community here. And another story for you, Phil,
Okay.
is back about 16 years ago, I was farming a different piece of land about 5 miles east. And the community that grew up around this farm decided that they didn't like the farming practices that the farmer was using. He was a conventional strawberry grower. When you grow strawberries under conventional means, you're using a lot of pesticides and sprays. And the community grew up around here and said to him eventually, we don't like the way you're farming, you're poisoning our families. The community and the landowner sought me out, being a pesticide-free organic farmer, and said, would you come in and farm this? Otherwise, we might turn it into housing or a soccer field or something like this. And so they were very motivated to bring somebody in that would
not poison their water supply, would not poison their ground, and when the produce was sold, wouldn't be indirectly poisoning the consumer.
Community. The community. And they wanted somebody, a farmer, to come in who would not be antagonistic to the community, who would embrace the community, and hopefully the community would embrace them. So that's how we got here.
Okay. How many employees do you have?
We have 6 field workers. So each of them, if they want, they can grow their own produce on here after hours. So one of them is farming about a half acre on their own.
That's
and I
fantastic.
give them the water and the tractors, and they do their own labor, and mostly what they're growing is for their own families. A lot of corn and beans, and also they grow things that we can sell at the stand. So one of my employees, he brought some seed for jicama back from Mexico, and he started planting it, and he is very meticulous.
That's fantastic. So your employees are not only employees, but they become farmers also.
Yeah.
I just thought that's brilliant. I think people in Santa Monica would be very pleased to know that this farm, where they get their produce from when they come to your stand at the farmer's market. Where is your stand?
Just near the corner of 2nd and Arizona, right near the front door of Tender Green.
They're helping keep a family business going, but they, not you, are going to reap the benefits of this business because they get better produce. They get that variety of strawberry I never knew existed. Mm-hmm. That's fantastic. This has been a great episode of Brock on Your Block. We'll see you next week for part 2 of our interview with Jerry Rutiz, and I'll learn more about farming.